Hello, and welcome to the MMO Report, a place where change is welcome. I'm your host, Casey Schreiner, and yes, the beard is gone. Now, before you cry foul, understand that it was for the greater good. And by greater good, I mean that I dressed as Littlefinger from the Game of Thrones series for Halloween. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know that the temporary debearding was totally justified. Not only was our 8-person group costume a sight to behold, but we were also congratulated by the official Game of Thrones Twitter account. In the meantime, I understand that this much unwhiskered handsome must be difficult to accept. So instead of staring at this gorgeous mug for the entire episode, I bring you news of a next Rift update. Yes, patch 1.6 is just around the corner, and we caught up with a few of the developers at Tryon to find out how the game has been rolling along since launch and what exactly they have planned for patch 1.6 and beyond. So let's take an early look at Rift's Ember Isle.
So Rift's been out for about 8 months now. We've just had our half-birthday anniversary. The game has been going great. We've done 6 major updates up to this point, each one with even more content than the last. The players have been loving it. We've gotten a great reputation there for not only having a quality MMO, but also being the MMO that updates the most and gives the players exactly what they're looking for. So 1.6 is our 6th major update. Go figure, 1.6. It's coming about 8 months in since launch. It's actually our largest update to date. Previously, we've done new raid zones, new world events, holiday events, little bits and pieces. This is the first time we're introducing a brand new zone called Ember Isle. And Ember Isle is probably one of our largest zones to date. It's a huge playground for the 50-plus player, for endgame players. It takes dynamic content to the next level. It gives players the ability to kind of affect the world even more than before. They can upgrade their bases, build defenses, deal with new game types known as Onslaught, which is kind of this massive horde invasion event that happens on these upgraded bases they build. It also introduces a bunch of new stuff as well, including a new dungeon, another 10-man raid. We've got some new PvP maps going in. Ember Isle, like I said before, is a huge zone. It's about 2 or 3 times size of some of our largest zones in the game. It's just been uncovered now after being in seclusion for hundreds of years. Players have rebuilt the travel stones in our latest event, the Ashes of History, and they're finally rediscovering. And for the Defiance, it's a return to the Kalari homeland. For the Guardians, they're returning to kind of find out the mystery of the Far Clan dwarves that disappeared hundreds of years ago. In addition, it's all wrapped up in the ever-growing story of Rift, where, you know, the various dragon powers are trying to take over Talara. So this is also the point where Malforge has historically been imprisoned. So players are going to be able to explore this entire island, which has a variety of different environments, ranging from jungles to ruins to this massive volcano in the center, and kind of see different pieces of plot points that we've been alluding to and uncover new secrets and get new encounters out of the dungeon and the raids that'll come along with it. With Ember Isle, we're taking dynamic content to the next point for us. It's not necessarily dynamic content 2.0, but it's more gameplay. So players in our game love rifts, invasions, and zone events. What we had with Ember Isle is more tactile feel to it. We allow players to take a control point in an area, what we call source wells, and kind of control that area, repair and build up the source well, build up defenses, turrets and generators and things like that to kind of really reinforce the area. So it's not just an NPC camp out in the middle of nowhere and you're defending it from little monsters. What happens, though, is the more you upgrade an outpost or an area, the more likely it's going to be attacked. And so eventually you get into what we call onslaught mode gameplay, where you've got this really upgraded base with all of these turrets fighting back and hordes of monsters coming in. So it's really a much more exciting experience than some of our other dynamic content, which just kind of happens. Players can control where, when, and how it starts, so it gives them a lot more control to play when they want to. So another thing we're adding with 1.6 is a new dungeon called Caduceus Rise. Caduceus Rise is a huge, expansive dungeon. In fact, we wound up splitting it up into multiple pieces. So originally it was about an 11 or 12 boss dungeon. With this patch, we'll actually be releasing 3 modes. First is the normal mode, which is a small 6-man instance for our lower level players, so they have a chance to kind of see what it's all about. Then we've actually made 2 expert level dungeons out of it. So there's a east and a west wing, each with a number of bosses each, and they'll be offered through the Looking for Dungeon tool. In addition, we'll be working on a rather large version, the full 12 bosses with a whole bunch of mini events for future release as part of one of our Master Mode dungeons. So another really exciting feature with 1.6 is the Rise of the Phoenix Sliver. as you may already know, slivers are 10-man raid instances, completely unique setups and bosses, so it's not just a rehash of our 20-man instances. With 1.6, we're introducing Rise of the Phoenix, which actually takes place in an area of Stonefield and tells a little bit more of the Fire Cult story, which ties in with Ember Isle. And you get to face off against a bunch of unique bosses, culminating in actually fighting the Phoenix itself, which is actually one of our more unique and visually appealing encounters. As with any patch, 1.6 is going to have its world event. This time around, this will be our first holiday event, so our first reoccurring holiday known as the Fey Yule. It is definitely a Christmas holiday season themed event. It has to do with, the realm of the Fey and the Fey themselves and kind of the holiday theory behind it. And it is very much a fun Christmas event. We've got, a great corgi pet that is kind of like Max from The Grinch Stole Christmas, cute little dog with antlers on him. There are tons of new content for people to try out, and a new world boss, our Christmas or our Yule treant, which is, a giant treant bedecked in holiday festivities and stuff like that, and tons of new rewards for players to get, including lots of neat stuff like vanity armor, a new Gargazelle, which is a reindeer-themed mount, and tons of different things to get. Our first mobile app will be coming out shortly after our 1.6 patch. It's all about getting involved with the world and being keyed into the game world in Rift. So you can log in any character you want, text and kind of message back and forth with anybody on your friends list, talk and keep up to date with your guild, see what your guild wall is, what's going on. There's also a really neat feature. You can go ahead and tune into any of the zone events, the world events on your server, so you can get push notifications on when things are happening. So, if you're just hanging loose, chilling, watching TV, you might get an alert that something's happening in the game. That way you can hop in and kind of jump right into the action. So Instant Adventure is something we're working on. We've been working on our public test server for the past couple of patches, and we're just about ready to launch it. Hopefully it'll be coming out slightly after 1.6. And it is what Looking for Dungeon is for instances for quest content and dynamic content in the world. It's an opportunity for players who might not have a big group of friends to play with, or just looking for 30 minutes of adventure to hop into the game, join an ongoing adventure, and kind of play through piecemeal custom quest content and dynamic content in a kind of short 30-minute to 45-minute bite, just like somebody would jump in and say, hey, I'd like to do a dungeon today. So it's bringing that type of casual gameplay and openness to our open world content, even more so than our already existing Looking for group system and our public group system as well. So the biggest thing about Rift is we are really standing behind the fact that we are a subscription service, and what that means is constant updates for players. Like I mentioned before, 1.6 is our 6th major update in 8 months. Major updates for us is a lot of new content. We've released 4 new raid zones, a variety of holiday and world events, tons of new dynamic content, a Looking for Dungeon system, solo in Chronicle instances, and now with 1.6, a new zone, new dungeon, new raid. And one of the things that's great about Rift and the Tryon team is we really plan on keeping this up. That's kind of what we've built our game upon, is a dynamic, living, breathing world that is constantly being updated. So going into 2012, obviously into our 2nd year, we've got a ton of great plans coming along with a variety of new content that we're really looking forward to getting out there. Rift Patch 1.6 from the Embers is coming out in mid-November. We're really looking forward to it. It's our biggest patch yet. We've got a brand new holiday event, a new zone, and tons of new content, so come check it out.
Well, I'm sold, as long as that reindeer mount breathes fire and turns evil little children into lumps of coal. Much thanks to the Tryon crew for stopping by and giving us an early look at Rift Patch 1.6, and thank you for being patient and waiting an extra day. You'd think developers would start timing their embargoes according to our production schedule by now. We'll have a regular episode of the MMO Report next week at g4tv.com/MMO on Thursday, as well as some more surprises in the following week, so stay tuned. Until next time, I'm Casey Schreiner. This is the MMO Report, and normally I would talk about something topical at the end of the show, but the 3 biggest stories this week involved a reality star's sham wedding, our most ineptly run local baseball team, and a pubescent pop star's purported pregnancy. And I don't care about any of them. But on the plus side, I have a new favorite tongue twister. Rubber Bieber Baby Mama. You do with that what you will.